Hi, my name's Glenn Hasselman. I'm just making this video for the free accounting software users to show you guys how to transfer data from a desktop local file to a BAS Off hosted file. So I've created this business as a local file, and this is the data. I've in fact just entered 2 transactions, one sale and one purchase. And 2 counterparties, one customer and one supplier. So this is a locally stored desktop file, and this is it here. So in the list of files, it has a blank type. As you can see, the BAS Off ones have this BAS Off cloud type. So now when I go into that file by double clicking on it, it does display at the top the file name. In fact, it's cut off over there, and that's where it's storing the file on your computer. You could I'm going to pick up the file in the transfer, and you could actually pick up that file directly if you can browse to it. However, I think it's easier to save a backup copy of the file and then use the backup copy to do the transfer. So just click on, before I do this, having just opened the file, I'm on this messages page. Some people get confused by that. You just need to click on your business name to get to the menu, and yeah, you can click on save backup file. Okay, so this will save a copy of the file, and after it does that, you'll continue to be working in this existing file, which is got the name at the top here. If you click file save as, then you will it will also save a copy of the file, but you will then be working in the new file. So I just want to save a temporary copy of the backup file so that I can use it to transfer the data to BAS Off. So I'm going to click save backup file, and I'll just put it on the desktop, and looks like it's just going to save it as my business with no file extension. It's going to be a lot easier to have a file extension on it, so I'll just type .fas on the end and click save. Save the backup copy to there, and at the top of the page you can see that it still says the original file name, so I'm still working in that copy of the file. Now to import that data into a BAS Off hosted file, you need to first create one. So you do that by clicking on F and then New, and then choosing the cloud option. Then you fill in your details and click Next, and on the next page it will ask you to make a payment. BAS Off is not free, it's a pretty low cost, but it does come with a lot of extra features. So now I've already done that and created this business here. Okay, now when importing data into either desktop or cloud, you want to delete the accounts and tax codes, because these are going to be in the imported file. If it's the default tax codes and default accounts, it's probably just going to overwrite the same ones because they've got the same IDs, but it's probably a better practice to delete it. But before I do that, I'll just show you that there is no data in this file. So financial year that I'm doing this for is the 1920 financial year, and we've got no income and expenditure in that year there. So in the My Business Details page, probably should set up the financial year. In fact, on that, I won't set that up. The reason being is if you put a financial year start and end date there, when you import data, it will only import transactions between those two dates. Okay. In the desktop software, it has the approach of you just enter transactions throughout the year, and it's going to store basically 1 year of data there, and then you start a new file for the next year. In the case of BAS Off, it has a full balance sheet and retains data for all the history of however long you've been using it. And that transactions volume is handled and maintained through reconciliations. And I do talk about reconciliations in some other videos. So when you're importing to BAS Off, you generally just want to import all the data, but if you don't want it all, because some is already there, for instance, you can restrict it by putting the start and end date for your financial year there. Okay, now we need to delete the accounts and tax codes. The software won't let you delete an account that's been used in a transaction, but since this is brand new setup, none of them have been used, so I can just delete them all, and then go to the tax codes and select them all and click delete. Okay, so now to import the data from that mybusiness.fas file, it's really quite easy. There is an import XML data link here, and it says choose.xbrlgl.fas.xml file. We're going to be using the .fas file there, so there it is. There it's called My Business, and Windows often will not show you the file extension, the .fas, but put it in the file type there. So that's the file that I've just saved. Open that and click import data. Okay, import complete. It sounds good. So let's go and see what we've got. So firstly, going to the tax codes. So it's brought in these tax codes from the desktop file, and you know what, they are probably exactly the same as what I just deleted because it uses the same default template. The accounts are there, and again probably exactly the same. They've imported it from the desktop file. Then customer, suppliers, employees, we've got the two there, the customer and the supplier. And if we go to income and expenditure and put in the correct date range, we've got the sales revenue and the cost of goods sold. So the same transactions as from the desktop file. So it's that easy to import your data into the from the desktop into the BAS Off cloud version. Now, what I want to show you is in terms of going the other way. Okay, so let's see what we can do. Now, to export your data from the cloud, which is what we've got here, you can, alright, first of all, in this case you do need a start and end date. So put that in. So with the cloud having potentially a lot of history in the file, it's only going to export up to a year at a time. So you do need to have a start and end date. And having done that, you can now from the latest version, which is going to be just released in August, you can click Save Backup File. If you are on an earlier version, this will not work. It won't do the Save Backup File from the cloud. Okay, so same thing, you go Save Backup File, and this is cloud to desktop. Okay, it's giving the message saved a backup copy, only the current year transactions are saved. Now, you can create the backup file from this export data sources page as well. So it's the same thing, except this one allows you to actually specify the start and end date, and then you can export to mybusiness.fas file, or you could actually just export the transactions only. So you can export individual data sources like transactions, tax codes, accounts, batches. So and that's probably a little bit more of an advanced way to import and export data by these individual data sources. Okay, but we don't need to do that because we've done it by the F and Save Backup File. Now, having done that, we can just click on F and open, and we can actually just choose that cloud, that file we've just saved. So we've just exported the file. We can just click F, open, and open the file. And having opened it, we've got all the same data in there. So it can't really get easier than that. With this file, which is the name demo BAS Off bracket cloud, just remembering that name, if we go to the list of businesses, we've got the demo BAS Off bracket cloud business there, which is of type BAS Off bracket cloud. So that is the data that is stored or hosted on the BAS Off server. But we don't have the file I just opened listed in here. And that's because we've saved it to a file external to the software's downloads folder. So if you click on, so you can, at this point we can only open it by clicking F and open and choosing it there. But what we can do is we can get it into this downloads list by over here sending a message to ourselves, and that will send file to self to get into downloads folder. Auto send when message saved is ticked, so when I click save and sign message, it's going to actually send the file to the users listed, which is just myself, you can actually click this button, send my business.fas file, without adding a message. So you can just click that without putting the message in there. I don't really recommend it because having the message gives you an indication of what time it was sent, which is good information to have. So save and sign message. When you get this purple writing here, signature valid but identity not verified, it just means that the user hasn't verified their identity. The software still works, but you can't trust that that user really is who they say they are. You need to verify their identity in some other way. But anyway, now having sent that file to myself, I can click on the on my name to get to this list. It's actually telling me a new or updated file for demo BAS Off bracket cloud is available for download, and so let me just click this download new file. So down the bottom right there is a download new files button, and then here it is. So I can double click on that to open the file. Okay, well that's so that's all there is to importing and exporting data from the desktop to the cloud and vice versa. So I hope this video has been useful to you, and thanks for watching. Okay, there was one thing that I just forgot, so I'll just point that out. Now, in this list of businesses, there is in fact only one business displayed which has the name BAS Off, demo BAS Off bracket cloud. That is because the ID of this business file is the same. So there can be different copies of the file stored, and the way the software determines whether it's the same business with a different copy is by this identifier. Now, because the BAS Off hosted data has the same identifier as this file I've just saved, they're overlapping and it's hiding it. So what I want to do is reset that identifier, and that's done in the My Business Details page under this Advanced Identifiers pane. So these title panes can be expanded and collapsed. This one is collapsed by default because it is something that you would rarely need to look at. And the file identifier is 847, so this is the same as the cloud data. We want them separate. We need to give it a new ID, and that's done by clicking this Regenerate File Identifier button. Okay, so it changes it to a big long random string of numbers and letters, and then when I go back to the page here, it should split it out. I think I'm going to have to exit the software and restart it. Okay, that's better. So now we've got our FAS local file, FAS desktop local file here, and we've got the BAS Off cloud hosted file there and we can access either one. I recommend changing that business file identifier straight after you save the backup file. In the video I sent a message to myself. I should have done it before doing that, and that would have been the better time to do it. But yeah, if you forget, you can do it at the end like I just did. Okay, again, thanks for watching. I hope the video has been useful for you.